Good afternoon, students. This is Professor Estrada with your Week 3 video lecture. How great is it as we reflect on the course that we're already in Week 3? So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and begin on the homepage. The homepage has excellent things. I am recording this a couple of days before the start of Week 3, so that way you may see some announcements that have already been there for some time now. Again, left side tab, you always have your announcements. Feel free to look at these as they're exceptionally well. They throw in extra credit opportunities. They'll tell you about week reminders, especially due dates. On the right side tab, I have my email, aestrada@hillcollege.edu. And as I've said several times, this is where you can find me at. We also have the work to do and the calendar. While these are great, you can always go to them and it shows you what to expect. Be assured that whenever you click on it, it may not give you prior background information on what you are needing for that particular assignment or module. That's why we always go to our content. So I'm going to dive into our content right here. The content page is where you will find the majority of our stuff. As we are already in week 3, it's already ingrained for us to go ahead and look for it. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on week 3, part 1. As you may see this at your own time, you'll be able to see that these are taken off. This just shows that until I check the settings, that they're inaccessible to you. But we are going to look at week 3, part 1 and week 3, part 2. So let's look at the week 3, part 1 content. In the week 3, part 1 content, I simply moved over to the next side, and it says that we have lecture slides, which I will go through. We have the text, A Clean Well Lighted Place by Ernest Hemingway. The audio, if you would like to go back and look at the audio, Bartleby the Scrivener by Herman Melville, who is otherwise known as Writing Moby Dick. We have the audio for it as well, and a quiz over week 2, day 2 works. So that means that you have to go back to week 2, part 2, and review those stories to be able to look at that quiz. And I'm going to scroll and continue this. We have the Unit 2 exam. This is an assessment of all contents from Unit 2. So it's week 3, day 1, which is what we're looking at in this folder, all the way leading up to week 5, day 1. So it encompasses at least 2 weeks. This exam will allow you 2 chances with a time limit, but it refers to even beyond week 3. So you have to go back to this folder for you to complete it. It'll be found in this folder. And then the due date for all the other online things except the unit exam are due Sunday, April 12th. The unit exam will open on week 3, part 1. It will open Sunday, April 6th. I am going to open this up early. Do not worry about that. It's going to open up early for you. So it's just easier for us to look at it that way. And I just saw that typo right here, so pay no mind to that. It will open up when I'm recording this. So you'll be able to see this with plenty of time to spare. Be sure to know all the authors that we've discussed in those folders, week 3, day 1 through week 5, day 1. What type of form is their work? There's going to be matching, true to exam style, matching, multiple choice, true, false, perhaps word bank, and some short answers. Note the unit exam will cover additional authors that are probably not listed or have been gone through in the lecture slides. Feel free to review them. And because it covers week 3 through week 5, it's placed in the week 3 part 1 folder, so you do have to go back to it. It will not be available after this time, so please do not wait till the last minute. Okay, so let's go in and we're going to dive into those things. Okay, so we have the week 3 day 1 folder. I'm going to go ahead and open this up as if we were in class, so that way you can look at it. Okay, we have the objectives for week 3, just as I've said. We're going to recap a little bit of what week 2, day 2 was. There's an important reminder. We're going to preview what's in the folder, as I've already shown you. And we're going to be introduced to the modernism period. And we have an important course reminder. So this is what's in the week 2, day 2 folder. If you were looking at this, so this would be week 2, day 2 folder online. If you haven't done so, these things are still available. They are still available until the 4th day after their due date. Okay. You'll be reading The Luck of Warren Camp, Miggles, The Storm, To Build a Fire, The Story of an Hour, and Barn Burning. And with those, after reading those, you complete the discussion board number 4. There was also an extra credit in there and the ongoing of Unit 1 exam. Be sure to know that the due date for week 2, day 2 is Sunday, April 5th. Okay. So an important course reminder for number 1 is just late work and the late passes. Obviously, late work, I do continue to accept late work even beyond your due date. I just deduct 25 points off each day. So after 4 days, if I do not have that assignment, it is a 0. It's better late than not at all. But if you have the time or you would just need the extension without the grade deduction, you can always request or submit a late pass reminder. A late pass, this is just you via email allowing me to know that you are going to use it. And sometimes I send out reminders for this. Sometimes it passes by, but always know that you are always able to use a late pass reminder leading up to 10 p.m. that the day that something is due. And I allow you up to 48 hours to work on it without question. This is in our folder for today, just as you've seen it. So that way you have it. Okay. And so we have the introduction to the modernism period. This period is 1950 to 1945. Look at that. So we're introduced to our new period. The modernism period, historical overview. The modernism is a period of American literature which started around the early 1900s and continued into the early 1940s. The devastation of World War I and the Great Depression caused widespread suffering in Europe and the United States. The modernism period was a radical break from the past. This break was often an act of destruction and caused a loss of faith in traditional structures and beliefs. Writers during this time primarily used the novels to explore groundbreaking themes such as gender and the human condition. The modernism period in the arts. Modernism was an early 20th century movement in visual arts, architecture, film, literature, design, and music. This movement pushed the boundaries of and accepted and found new innovative forms of creative expression. Modernism was motivated by the fast pace of urban living, youth, futurism, technological process, and industrial production. At times, the modernist aesthetic opted for abstraction rather than realistically depicting physical objects. Artists focused on showing ideas, thoughts, textures, colors, and lines. Then we go into a little bit of the modernism period, which is the Roaring Twenties. Flapper dress. Americans of the Roaring Twenties fell in love with the modern entertainments. Most people went to the movies once a week. Although Prohibition, a nationwide ban on the production, transport, and sales of alcohol, instituted through the 18th Amendment of the United States Constitution, began in 1919, underground speakeasies and nightclubs prominently featured jazz music, cocktails, and daring modes of dress and dance. Dancing, movie-going, automobile touring, and radio were national crazes. American women in particular felt liberated. Many had left farms and villages for home front duty in American cities during World War I and had become modern. They, the women, cut their hair short, like bobs, and wore short flapper dresses and glorified the right to vote when the 19th Amendment passed in 1920. Okay. We also have during this period the lost generation, so we're going to be looking at that. Young Americans of the 1920s were considered the lost generation. Without a stable traditional structure of values, the individual lost a sense of identity. Texts during this time dismissed the idea of a secure, supportive family life, the familiar, settled community, the natural rhythms of nature that guided the planting and harvesting on a farm, the sense of patriotism, and moral values led by religious beliefs. The lost generation writers attempted to surround themselves with like-minded individuals most of the time. These writers were shaped by the shared experiences of World War I, often choosing to express their feelings about the war in the post-war society through writing. The Great Depression, 1929 to 1939. The Great Depression of the 1930s turned the world upside down by affecting most of the population of the United States. Workers lost their jobs, factories shut down, and both businesses and banks failed. Farmers were unable to harvest, transport, or sell crops, ultimately losing their farms. Artists during this time were paid to create murals and state handbooks. War production and experimentation led to new technologies, including the nuclear bomb. Many farmers left the Midwest for California in search of jobs. At the peak of the Depression, 1/3 of all Americans were out of work. Soup kitchens, shanty towns, and armies of hobos, unemployed men, illegally riding freight trains became part of the national life. Characteristics of the modernism literature. I'm so sorry. Getting a little tongue-tied over here. Experimentation. So these are characteristics. Experimentation. Modernist literature used different experimental writing techniques that broke the conventional rules of storytelling. Some of these techniques included blended imagery and themes, nonlinear narratives, and stream of consciousness, which is a free-flowing inner monologue. Individualism. Modernist literature typically focused on the individual. Stories during this period followed characters as they adapted. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I am getting tongue-tied. To a changing world, often dealing with difficult circumstances and challenges. Other characteristics of modernist literature is multiple perspectives. Writers wrote in the first-person perspective with multiple characters to emphasize the subjectivity of each character and added depth to the story by presenting a variety of viewpoints. Free verse. Poets rejected the traditional structure of poetry and opted for free verse, which lacks a consistent rhyme scheme, metrical pattern, or musical form. And the literary devices of this time, they relied on literary devices such as symbolism, imagery to help the reader understand the writing and to create a stronger connection between the text and the reader. Okay, and so I'm going to exit. And those were just our lecture slides, so I'm going to make sure that we look at these. So we have our story, A Clean, Well-Lighted Place. And if you would like to go into its audio, it's right there as well. We also have Bartleby the Scrivener by Herman Melville and his audio. Then we have our quiz over week 2, day 2 stories. So these are, you're going to have to go back and go into the week 2, day 2 folder, review a little bit, and then go into this quiz. And then we have the unit 2 exam. Okay. I'm going to try to click on this without it showing too much. And let's see what the instructions say. It says it is from week 2, day 2 to week 5, day 1. So it even goes back to week 2, day 2 stories. I apologize for that. I will try to see if I can fix that in the folders as well. Be sure to review. You'll be given 2 chances in at least 2 hours to complete this. And I will take the highest attempt. Based off of quizzes and unit exams, just always know that even if you put in your multiple choice or true false, I still have to go in and grade your manual responses. Okay, and it closes April 26th. I will go back and fix this because it says right here week 2, day 2. Some of your folders may not reflect that, but I will try my best to go back in and fix that. Okay. So I'm going to exit out of this and we're going to now go into the week 3 part 2 folder. In the week 3 part 2 folder, we have a continuation of lecture slides. We have the story Young Goodman Brown by Nathaniel Hawthorne, who otherwise is known for writing The Scarlet Letter, and his other story, Rappaccini's Daughter, which is seldomly unknown, but it's really good for us to read it. We also have the instructions for one of your major assignments, which is called Letters of World War II, or it's a writing assignment. I have it listed as a Word doc or PDF. That's where you may see it double. Its due date for the Letters of World War II is not due until May 3rd. But if there's anything else in here, if there was a discussion board or a quiz, then that would follow a week 3 due date. So the Letters of World War II writing assignment will be the submission for it. So the module to find it. This is just the instructions. The module for it will be found in the week 2 part 2 folder. Okay, so you have to wait till then to be able to upload it. Okay, I'm simply placing the directions in here so that way you have it and it gives you ample time to do so, but it's not due anytime soon. I also will place the directions in the submission folder during that time whenever you get to it. There's no online submissions this week. There are lecture slides. I don't know. Oh. And look, there's no lecture slides. Now I have to go back and fix that. So there's no lecture slides. So disregard this. Right? I'm going to delete that here in a minute. But there's no lecture slides. Look at that. Okay. So now we look at this. This says that we have our 2 stories, the text and the audio for those 2 stories. And we have the Letters of World War II. So let me go ahead and open up. I think this is the PDF version. So let me go ahead and open this up. All right. So this is the PDF version. I also have, whoa, I went way too far. This is the PDF version. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry. Anyways. I don't know what it's doing. Okay. I don't know. Okay. This is the PDF version. I'm trying to zoom out. Let's try this. There it is. There it is. Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know. It keeps doing that. Y'all saw me do this like 3 times. Okay. This is the PDF version of the assignment. I tried to, use my little mouse down here to like zoom out, and it would just click on the links. Okay. Anyways, so this is just the directions for our assignment. We're going to be looking at letters of World War II during this time. It tells you the due date up here, but let's look at the instructions. It says, for this assignment, you will analyze the timeline of the correspondences, letters, drawings, and events happening within each group, person, or people by answering the following questions for each group that you choose. I do apologize if you hear screaming in the back. That is my niece arguing with my mom. She's 3 years old. So this is the assignment. Using the following website, so that's the only website that you're going to use, you will explore and look at 4 people or group or correspondences. You will be asked to pinpoint specific groups or singular people's biographies, letters, by choosing 4, just 4, of those groups, collections of people from the listed website below. You are more than welcome to choose from the actual whole collection or individuals that contributed letters, as you will see in the link, whatsoever you're choosing, as long as there's 4. Okay, so this is the link, right? So if you were to click on this link, it will take you to the following. Let me actually show you the link. All right, so this is the link that I just clicked on. I don't know why it opened up. Okay, so this is what I meant by that. So we have the individually contributed letters, many stories. These are individual letters, but then these are collections of people. So you can do it by collection of people, or you can do individual contributed letters. So I include in your directions this link right here, but also links for all of these people listed. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so yes. So we have the individual contributed letters. So you can click on that and you can click on different ones, or you can click on the collections of that person. We have letters from Arthur Alvey, Frank Wallace, HMS Barham, Les Baker, Evelyn and Albert Shore, Margaret and Clifford, Estelle Moria, Harmon Buckley. So plenty of choices if you would want to do a collection or you would want to do individuals. So let's just say that this first section's asking us for one person or a collection of letters count, meaning you only have to have 4. So hypothetically, let's just say that I click on Arthur Alvey's letters. That opens up, right here, that opens up to all of his stories, all his letters, okay? Many of them, okay? Many of them. Okay, so let's look at what my directions are going to ask me if I choose Arthur Alvey. It says, what is his name or letter group name? The name that appears as the title or the from or written by. Who are the letters written from? Okay, it also says to give a 2-second paragraph biography on that person. If it includes their living or death, please include that as well. If it's found or evident, please sure to do so. But if there's not a biography somewhere, if you can, you're more than welcome to look them up. If there's not a biography listed for them, you're more than welcome to leave that blank. And then it says to state how many letters or pictures or examples are found within that collection. So if I were to look at Arthur Alvey and it pulls up 20-something letters, we're going to write 20 letters. Okay? If I'm looking at more specifically how many items were found within that group. So I'm going to go back and it's going to ask me how many letters are in our Arthur Alvey's collection. So I would have to count everything in page 1 and everything on page 2. All right. Continuing forward. It also says, question 4, read a letter from this group or person and state the summary. What's going on in that particular letter? Who is writing the letter? When was it written? Who is it for? If it's only one letter, then answer accordingly. What do you think is the general tone or overall mood of the letter? Is it hopeful? Is it fearful? What overall feelings does it give? You can state a tone or feeling or include one line that supports your answer. Okay. After reading about this group or people within all their letters, choose one letter that stood out to you because of language, the timeline, or the events going on. Include below one sentence or quote that really resonates or makes this letter stand out. Why does this specific letter stand out to you? If it's only one letter, then answer it accordingly. Upon reading the letters from this person or group or collection, which closing words that end before the signature stand out to you? It's words as if it was sincerely or see you soon or my best, all my love, and then they usually write out their name. So what would be the closing, what's a closing line or statement that you really found impactful? And then to include the main website. So if you found Albert Alvey's website, please include it here. Include the specific person. So again, if it's from the individual contributed letters, you put it right there. If it's from the author, then you put it right there. So these first 8 questions are specifically for that first person or group. Then you continue forward and do another person or another group. Okay. Don't do the same one. Incorporate different varieties of people. So we can always go back. And let's just say that I did Arthur Alvey for the first one. And I'm going to do Frank Wallace for my second group of questions. And I'll do Estelle Moria Ingram's letters. And then I'm going to do Harmon Buckley's letters. So that's already 4. And I'm just going to repeat the same process for all my questions pertaining to all my sections. The only question that's different after you do all of these is found in section 4. The very bottom, it includes right here. It says, why do you think it's important to study written artifacts such as letters during this time? Why do you believe they're essential in the documentation of text and timeline of American literature? Okay. And then it says the due date is May 3rd. Per the syllabus, after Thursday, May 7th, if it's not received, it is a 0. But I included this as a Word doc, but also PDF doc. So what you would need to do when the time comes is you would have to either copy and paste this, use the same document and answer accordingly, or create your own document. You can use the same questions and answer them that way, or copy paste, or just list them. Number 1 question and answer. Number 2 question, answer. You don't have to do anything else. But if you just want to copy and paste from here or fill this in as your own copy, you're more than welcome to. So again, when you click on this link, it'll take you to the individual letters or the actual collections, starting with Arthur Alvey. And I would like you to consider looking at these and looking at a part of history that sometimes is forgotten. Sometimes we don't cherish the letters that are given because those are just memories. But these memories have shown us what happens during this time. Okay? And again, if you have any questions regarding this, let me know. I can always be found at aestrada@hillcollege.edu. Here's to a wonderful week 3.